got a team that we came up and represented ourselves. That's what we call a stacked lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
What's up, Sex City? Welcome in to a late night episode of the Sac City Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Vinny Milani, joined as always by my best friend in the whole entire world. He is Aaron, the Mukesiah Mukes. It is a beautiful Halloween. Everyone's out trick-or-treating, and we're in here grinding. We're in here making content. We're in here talking football, giving you guys what you deserve, the football content you deserve. We have a Monday night football game to recap. We got some games from week 8 to recap. We're recapping everything. We're going down the board here. We're going all games except for the Thursday night football game, which we already covered. If you missed it, go check it out on our YouTube page. We're going down the board, man. We're running the gauntlet right now, going recap by recap, starting things off with the Monday night football game. The Cincinnati Bengals fall to the Cleveland Browns 32-13 on prime time. The Bengals now move to 4-3 on the year, and the Browns are 4-4 on the year, and the Browns now move to 3-5. Browns get the win. Bengals take the loss here, Aaron. Not a pretty performance from the Bengals offense here. First game without Jamar Chase, so they will be without Jamar Chase for a little bit. What were your impressions of the Bengals here tonight?
Well, first of all, it wasn't just the Bengals offense. The Bengals defense didn't play great either. They gave up almost 500 yards of offense. But look, this is what I don't want to hear today or tonight or right after the game or even tomorrow or a week from now. I don't want to hear the Bengals fans or the analysts talking about, oh, they really missed Jamar Chase. Stop. We get it. Jamar Chase is great. Jamar Chase is a game-changing wide receiver. He's excellent. But just a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about T. Higgins can go and be number 1 for any team in the NFL. Tyler Boyd is normally a number 2 for any team in the NFL, and he's the number 3 on Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is supposed to be elite. And I'm so mad because I believe last week I just gave Joe Burrow his flowers. I said it was the best I had seen him play against the Atlanta Falcons, and I said, finally, that's the franchise quarterback I saw. And what does he do? He follows it up with this dud of a performance. Today, he wasn't the franchise quarterback. He wasn't the guy that I've seen that can overcome a lack of an offensive line and overcome missing his number 1 wide receiver. This is what we talk about when we talk about franchise quarterbacks. Franchise quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes loses Tyreek Hill. What does he do? Somehow he gets better. That's a game changer. That's somebody that's different. That's the franchise quarterback that I'm talking about that I told everybody I didn't see from Burrow yet until last week. And then he came back and he let me down this week. That offense was bad. The offensive line was bad. The running game was non-existent. Joe Burrow made mistakes. Joe Burrow was running for his life. Joe Burrow couldn't overcome those deficiencies on that offensive line, the running game, or Jamar Chase. They took a huge step backwards tonight, a huge step backwards.
Yeah, and I did think about that while I was watching the game. I was like, damn, man, we just gave all the credit in the world to the Bengals last week. They've been playing well. They've been looking good. And you're right. It is not just Jamar Chase that's the problem, at least in this game. The defense played bad. How much of that there was no Eli Apple in this game?
Well, first of all, Eli Apple was already benched. I don't know if anybody knows that because it hasn't been talked about. He was replaced by Cam Taylor-Britt in the starting lineup. So he was already filling in as a reserve role the last couple of games. He had already lost that job. Like I said he would, because he's not good. He's never been good. Cam Taylor-Britt had already started to take that job, and he's a rookie. So, and then you lose so you don't have Eli Apple in this game. During the game, they lost Chidobe Awuzie. So they're banged up in that secondary. You saw Dax Hill. You saw Cam Taylor-Britt. They got kind of exposed. Amari Cooper put on a route running clinic against them, and they got burned by Jacoby Brissett. Not Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett, a guy that we say is a game manager, decided to come in and do more than manage a game. He 17 of 22, 278 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions, 133.7 quarterback rating. That's a quarterback that looked like he was better than Joe Burrow. Yes, maybe he was protected a little bit better, but there was pressure at times. He used his legs. He got out of the pocket. He made deep throws down the field. What I saw from Cleveland was a complete football game. Running the football, throwing the football, good defense. From Cincinnati, I honestly can't point to one thing and say, oh, they did that really well. Even their special teams, who we all laud at Evan McPherson, missed kicks, which is unlike him. So this was just you want to attribute to a short week? Sure. On the road against a division opponent? Great. You might lose the way they looked, just wasn't it, man. They took a huge step back.
Yeah, I agree. They did take a huge step back in this game, and it's I don't want to say it's unfortunate because I mean it is what it is. But I want to talk about the Browns here specifically for a moment, because at the beginning of the season, the story was there. We talked about it many times on our shows. You have to just hold on until you get Deshaun Watson back. Jacoby Brissett just has to be able to find ways to get them wins. And at 3-5 now, my voice cracking, they're now heading into a bye. They come out and play Miami, and they play Buffalo. Is 3 wins enough? Because obviously Miami, Buffalo, those are going to be tough games for them to win. Then Tampa, and then they get Houston with Watson back. Is 3 wins enough for this team to say, okay, Watson can come back and maybe help this team get into a playoff spot?
No. I don't think so. I think they need to win one of these next 3 games. I think they have to win one of the next 3 games because then you're asking them to go on a deep run, right? You're asking them basically to win out from week 13 to week 18. I said they would lose 1 game during that time, and I thought that would be the Baltimore game. So if you look at that and you say, okay, they lose the Baltimore game. If they lose all 3 games over the next 3 weeks, then what are you looking at? You're looking at 3-8.
Yeah.
And if you lose 1 more, like I said, down the stretch, then you're losing 9 games and you're 8-9, and I don't think that's good enough. So I think they have to win one of those games, get to 4-7 by the time you go get Deshaun Watson back week 13. And if you're 4-7, you have a chance. If you win out, you go 10-7. If you lose 1, you go 9-8. And I think 9-8 could get you in the postseason. If you look at them now, they're only 2 games back in the loss column of that last playoff spot. And it's really early to start doing that. But You want to stay within those 1 or 2 games. You start getting to 3 and 4 games back, it's just too much in the NFL to overcome.
Is that where we're at right now? Is this Baltimore's division? Are we kind of, because we're going to talk about that. I do want to talk about that trade here because we are live, and I know we're going to go through our recaps.
Yeah, for sure.
But I feel the need that we do have to talk about that trade. But before we do that, is it Baltimore's division? Like that is that?
I think it's always been Baltimore's division. I know people reacted, and they had a stretch where they didn't play that well, but they won some games, and they've been kind of just right there. I think it's always been Baltimore's division. I thought they're clearly the best team in this division. When you look at them on paper, when you look at them from an electric standpoint of the quarterback position and their ability to do things multiple on offense and defense. And I've always thought it was Baltimore's division to lose. Cincinnati got hot for a minute, but like I said, there's some issues with the Cincinnati Bengals that need to be addressed, that need to be fixed. That offensive line play showed its ugly head again today. And you can't play that kind of football and expect to win. And then we're having the conversations all over again about that secondary and how good is that secondary. And if you're relying on guys like Dax Hill and Cam Taylor-Britt as rookies to come in and be the difference, I think you're going to be in trouble going down the stretch. So there's still some question marks on Cincinnati. I still think they're a good team. I still think obviously they're probably a playoff team, but they did take a huge step back this week after I put them on a pedestal last week, gave them a high ranking in my power rankings, talked about Joe Burrow. And this is why, Bengals fans, because you always turn back into the Bengals.
Yeah, it is that we gave them their flowers. We thought that they would be not special, but we were giving them their credit. And then they do this. They come out and lay a dud on Monday Night Football in prime time when the world is watching. They let us down 32-13 to the Browns. Take a look at the AFC North standings now. The Ravens 5-3, the Bengals 4-4, Browns 3-5, and the Steelers sitting at last with 2 with just 2 wins. I mean, it's not a, like, we can talk about how this is Baltimore's division, like, to win. But I mean, it's a tight race. I mean, 1 win separates Baltimore and Cincinnati, and then 2 wins separate Cleveland. I mean, I don't think we're talking about Cleveland in the light of being able to push for this division. But if they can steal out some of those wins against maybe Tampa and surprise us against Miami, so they're at Miami, so that's gonna be a tough one.
Well, either way, I mean, Baltimore. The good thing about Baltimore situation is they've already beat both Cincinnati and Cleveland.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
They really are 2 games ahead, or at least a game and a half at this point, because they own the tiebreaker over both of them as it stands right now. If one of those teams won a shot at any kind of tiebreaker with Baltimore, they have to win that next game against them, or they're pretty much going to be 2.5 to 3 games back. So Baltimore's sitting in a good spot right now. Cleveland's in a good spot if you think about it compared to Cincinnati, getting this win against Cincinnati. If they can pull out one of these next couple of games, maybe they get 2, just on some lucky stuff, and then Deshaun Watson comes back week 13, and if he comes back the way he was in the past, they got a shot to make a nice run down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, this is
by the way, if you're watching right now and you're trick or treating, you don't have to look at us. We're not the best people to look at. Well, I am, but I don't know about Vinny. But anyways, put us in your pocket, throw some AirPods in your ear, and listen to us while you're trick or treating with your kids.
Whoa. First of all, that's not a thing. Don't just throw us in your pocket. Throw on some AirPods.
Yeah.
Throw us in your pocket. Get a speaker going. Bump up the speaker. Play us out loud so the world can listen to our greatness. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that works.
Don't be selfish, okay? Don't be selfish. Let the world know that we are here. That we're taking over the world, and we are the best football show on the planet. That does it for our Monday Night Football recap here. We're going to get into our Week 8 recaps in just a moment, but let's change some gears here. Let's switch it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Our not so morning headlines here on our late night special for our Monday Night Football game. One headline that we just have to talk about is the Chicago Bears making yet another move. Last week we saw them trade Robert Quinn to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now they have made the move to send Roquan Smith, star linebacker, leads the NFL in tackles, stud from Georgia, Aaron.
UGA, baby.
They trade him to the Baltimore Ravens in exchange for a 2nd-round pick, a 5th-round pick, and A.J. Klein. And to throw in a little note here on this, Baltimore also takes all of Roquan Smith's salary. He's got 1 year left on this is his final year. It's not a whole lot of salary that's going over, but they do take that as well. Aaron, when this move came by, what was your instant reaction to see Roquan Smith joining the Baltimore Ravens?
I think I put it in the chat. I just said, wow, this is huge, right? Like, I don't think people realize how big this is. Like, Roquan Smith is an elite level linebacker in the NFL. And now you're putting him next to a Patrick Queen in a secondary that has not only Marcus Williams, but also Marcus Peters, and also Marlon Humphrey, and also Kyle Hamilton. Like, what Baltimore just did was solidify their defense. And I know there was been some struggles early in the season with their defense, but you are getting an absolute dog in the middle of that defense. And this was a win-win for Baltimore, because if you look at it, the way it's set up, they give a 2, a 5, and an A.J. Klein. But if Roquan, it's like a rental, but you have a chance to pay him if you want to. But if you do let him walk, they receive a 3rd-round compensatory pick for him. So in reality, they're just moving that 2nd to a 3rd, and they're trading a 5th and A.J. Klein for Roquan Smith and a chance at a Super Bowl run. So I think this was an absolute home run by the Baltimore Ravens. And once again, we're starting to see teams that are getting ready to load up. I think tomorrow's going to be a real active day. I think some teams are going to go after receivers, but what Baltimore did today was hit a home run. They might not be done. Maybe they go get another receiver. Who knows? But I thought this was a big time move by the Ravens front office.
Yeah. I mean, this is I see a lot of people talking about it from the Ravens side. I mean, you add Roquan Smith to an already talented defense. You're now going to line him up alongside Patrick Queen. We talk about that defensive line being young and bright in David Ojabo, Odafio Way. You throw in the veteran of Calais Campbell. I mean, that front seven is good. Great in Baltimore with a lot of potential, and a defense that at the start of the season we were questioning, but they had a very difficult schedule and have played a lot of very good offenses. And now they're really starting to show up and show out. And that could spell some really bad things for the rest of the NFL for Baltimore coming in. And I mean, you talk about it with the rest of the AFC outlook of the great teams in the AFC. It's all offenses. And I talked about it at the beginning of the season. It's going to come down to which defense could make that one play, which defense can step up and make that one stop that you need against the Chiefs, against the Bills, against one of those types of teams. Baltimore just added a big time piece in a player that is going to help you make that one stop against a Mahomes or against an Allen. On the Bears side of things, though, kind of had to do this, right? They had no choice. And I think Baltimore took advantage of a team that had no choice of doing this.
I don't think so. And it's crazy because they're in full rebuild mode, but Roquan Smith wanted to be a Chicago Bear. Like, I don't think people realize how much he liked Chicago and how much he wanted to be a Chicago Bear. Now the Bears have $100 million in cap space. Why didn't they just pay him? Why not pay the guy that's your best defensive player? Pay your middle linebacker. Go out and get some help on the offensive side of the football. We've seen their defense. And yes, I know they got exposed a little bit this week against Dallas, but that Dallas, that's a machine right now. Like, they're playing really well. But you draft Jaquan Brisker. Kyler Gordon's out there. They both looked really, really good. Why not keep Roquan Smith, build the offensive line, go get Justin Fields some weapons, and have a good foundation as you continue to grow? I don't know that this was necessary. I think this was an unnecessary move because the Bears didn't want to spend the capital. And now, in turn, you're going to go out and you're going to look for defensive players that you're going to have to spend money on. Sure, you got great draft capital. That's great. But you still got to hit on those draft picks. Maybe they believe in their front office and their regime based on what they did this year in the draft, and they drafted some great players, all but Velus Jones Jr. But I just think that they could have just kept Roquan, paid him, and had more foundational pieces on that defensive side of the football with a defensive-minded head coach, and then go out in the draft and free agency and address your offensive line and some weapons for Justin Fields. When teams sell off players, it's like I said with Denver. When you sell off players, you should be in full rebuild mode. And you should be selling off players that are not foundational type pieces, veterans that need to go to a team that to help, going to put them over the top and help them win. I didn't think this was one of those moves. I thought this was the Bears saying, you know what, we're going to continue to clean house, and this might be the final piece. Robert Quinn's gone. Like, Robert Quinn, I actually understood that move. Okay, defensive line, he's older. He's not going to be part of our future. Let's get rid of him. Roquan Smith could have been part of their future. Like, he's young. So I didn't get that part of it. But I guess if you want to ask, did they get compensated appropriately? I think getting a second-round pick for a guy that you may not have been signing anyways. I guess they were saying they weren't going to sign him. I think a second-round pick is worth it, even though it's going to be a late second-round pick.
Yeah, that's where that it'll be a late second-round pick. And I mean, everyone's probably wanting a first-round pick for a talent of Roquan Smith's level, but
not in the NFL.
That's what I was going to say. First-round picks are very hard to come by, and they're like gold. And you have to be look, Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs in the NFL, and he didn't even get a first-round pick back for them. So that's that. That's our little morning headline. Shout out everybody in the chat spending their Halloween night watching us, listening to us. We're glad to be a part of your evening. We are going game by game here. We already talked about the Bengals, Browns. Who's Steve Jones? Steve Jones? Steve Jones?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Don't know who Steve Jones is? I don't know who Steve Jones is. I thought maybe you knew who Steve Jones is. But shout out everyone in the chat. Let the comments keep flowing. Shout out Bailey. He was actually at the Browns-Bengals game tonight. He was able to watch that live. So maybe we'll get his thoughts tonight, and then talk about it a little bit in the morning. But let's get down to business and get into our inside the matchups for our NFC games. What a thriller to start off our 1 o'clock hour games in the NFC. The Carolina Panthers fall to the Atlanta Falcons 37-34 on some late game heroics from Younghoe Koo, his first career overtime game winner for the Atlanta Falcons. They defeat the Carolina Panthers in a thriller that saw PJ Walker find DJ Moore late in the game with a big time pass. DJ Moore scoring, slamming his helmet down, getting a penalty. This game goes to overtime because they missed the kick. What a way to finish this game. Aaron, let's just get overall reactions to this game.
Well, first of all, I thought it was very poor football down the stretch. Like I don't know what the Falcons were doing defensively. I don't know what Carolina was doing offensively. The field goal kickers missing kicks. But it was an exciting game. And I've been seeing this on social media, and I happen to agree. That PJ Walker throw was one of the best throws I've ever seen. And I don't think people realize what he did, but he threw the ball 65 yards in the air, going the opposite way on a dime to DJ Moore. Like, that is something that we talk about. If that was Patrick Mahomes, we would have all been like, oh my God, he's the greatest. I love him so much. Like me, I would have been lauding all over it. The throw was insane. And PJ Walker, say what you want about PJ Walker, man. He's a gamer. I just think he's the type of guy you want on your football team. Maybe he's not a starter in this league every day, but that throw right there is that. I don't think people realize how hard that throw is on the money. That's super special. Great play by DJ Moore. You know what? One thing I do want to mention, the NFL's got to stop. The whole I can't take my helmet off thing gets on my nerves. It gets on my absolute last nerve. I get it. It's against the rules. And I get it. DJ Moore should have known better. And I get it. Blah, blah, blah. Like, we have to understand how much emotion goes into a play like that. You are down. You have no chance of winning that game. Throws it up. You make a great play, and his emotion got the best of him. He takes off his helmet, and it's a penalty that's caused the extra point to be missed. And I just don't like it. I don't think that stuff like that should decide a football game. And he wasn't disrespectful to the Falcons. This is the NFL watching Emmitt Smith, and growing up and watching Emmitt Smith, every single touchdown that Emmitt Smith scored in his career, damn near, he took off his helmet. That was his thing. He took off his helmet, and he wanted to show, this is me. I'm Emmitt Smith. I'm running to my sideline. I'm taking off my helmet. Who cares? Like, what does that do for anybody? He didn't throw his helmet at the other team. He wasn't talking shit to the other team. He was just so excited he took off his helmet. And because of that, you push him back 15 yards, and it cost them the game. I get it. DJ Moore was in the wrong, and I'm not trying to make an excuse for him. He should have known the rules. He should have been better. And they missed another kick later that should have won the game. But the NFL has to be better than that, man. The NFL cannot let stuff like that decide games, and it did. And that's unfortunate for the Panthers. But shout out to the Falcons for staying in it and getting the win. Marcus Mariota staying in there. Kyle Pitts sighting. I told everybody, relax, pump the brakes on Kyle Pitts. He'll be fine. They will find ways to get him involved as the season goes on. Yep. They're about to get Cordero Patterson back. That is going to be huge for that team. And another big-time win for Arthur Smith and the Falcons this season.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts in this game, 5 receptions, 80 yards, and a tutty, finding the end zone his second game this season with 80 yards. I mean, it was a good game. It was a good game for I don't want to say it was a good game because, I mean, there was some sloppiness in this game. But let's talk about the way this NFC South looks. Let's talk about the way this NFC South looks. Now, the Falcons lead the division, Bucks, Saints, Panthers, and last, but it's all tight. I mean, the Falcons 4-4, Bucks 3-5, Saints 3-5, Panthers 2-6. Can the Falcons hold on to this?
Vinny, I know you hate when I do this. Who cares?
Okay.
The reason I say that is because there is no team that's in this division that's going anywhere. No team. Okay. The Bucks, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Saints, whoever wins that division will be making a first-round exit in the playoffs. It's like a consolation prize. The winner's probably going to be 8-9 at the end of the season. It's a bad division. You know, last year was the NFC East. Everybody wanted to call bad. But the difference is the NFC East always had one team that was good. Like, it's always either Philly or Dallas, right?
Yep.
This year, there's no good teams here. There's no good teams here. The Falcons are trying, they're pushing their best, but they're not good. When you're struggling to beat the Panthers, after you traded Christian McCaffrey, you traded Robbie Anderson, the only players they got are Brian Burns and J.C. Horn and DJ Moore. Like, I don't know why you should be struggling at home with the Panthers. And I get it's a division game, but there's nobody here. This kick right here, I was just like, are you serious? Like, and that right there just said, are you serious? But yeah, if I had to give the front running team right now, I would still probably lean towards the Bucs here. But another loss by the Bucs in the next couple of weeks, and Atlanta probably has the edge going into the playoffs. But again, I don't think none of these teams make a move or make the needle move as far as what they can do in the playoffs.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm trying to push out some of this B-roll here because I want to give a special shout out to our boy Tyler for clipping all this B-roll that he's been doing a fantastic job with, and it's been spot on this week. So just wanted to give a little shout out and some love to our intern.
You know what? I've heard this today too, and I normally don't bring up Bailey's comments all the time because he chats so much, but I do want to address this for the people that say this because I've heard it a lot today. They're one roughing the, and it's true, they are. But they're also a missed field goal away from being 3-5.
There's
right?
I think
it's funny. I think it's funny when people say stuff like that because if Carolina makes the kick twice, either one, they're 3-5, and we're having a different conversation today. So don't talk about what happened 2 weeks ago. They didn't get the call, and they still would have had to score a touchdown, which we don't know if they would have done against Tampa's defense. But had they done that, yeah, they might have won that game, but then they could have lost yesterday.
Yeah.
So who cares?
Well, there's always I've never liked those. I've never liked those types of comments because I just don't think that I think there's always two sides to it. There's always two sides. Like you said, if they're roughing the passer call for 5-3, but they're missed kicks and something, a penalty, a bad play away from Owens. That's the way football is. That's the way games are. That's the way sports in general are. It drives me nuts when people, to be honest, say things. Oh, if this didn't happen, then it doesn't. No, it's not a thing. Not a thing. Yeah. The Falcons, though, defeat the Panthers 37-34 in overtime. Next game on our list, it's the Chicago Bears falling to the Dallas Cowboys 49-29. The Cowboys did exactly what we thought they would do in this game, exactly what they needed to do in this game. A big day for the Cowboys, who now start 6-2 for the second straight year in a row. And with that being said, Aaron, what are you seeing that's different from the Cowboys this year? Maybe not necessarily in this game, because this is a game that they should have won. But like I said, this is their second straight year, 6-2. What's different about this Cowboys team than last year or years prior?
I actually don't think anything's different. I thought last year the defense played well, and I think it's evident by starting 6-2. The one thing I do want to mention is the one thing I saw that I really liked was they got out to a 28-7 lead. And I saw this in college football this weekend. This happens. You get out to a big lead, you kind of let up a little bit. And the team scores a couple of times, and now it's a tight game again, right? The Bears got it to, like a 2-score, like a 1-score game or 8 points or whatever it was. But the very next drive, Dallas got the ball. What did they do? Boom, 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 went down, punched it in for a touchdown. Next defensive possession, boom, create the fumble, get a touchdown. When they needed to do what they needed to do, they did it. And I thought that is what maybe was the difference between this Cowboys team and some of the past prior Cowboys teams, is being able to flip it on and off like a light switch. Most teams cannot do that. We saw Philadelphia do it against Dallas this year. Dallas cut that lead to 3 points. Philly said, oh, wait, no, bully ball. Went down the field and scored. That's what I saw Dallas do here against Chicago. Yes, it's a bad football team in Chicago. Yes, we expected Dallas to handle business, and they did. And this wasn't Dallas's best defensive performance. But I will tell you, the one thing that gives Dallas defense fits is a mobile quarterback, a quarterback like Justin Fields, one that could extend plays because they tend to be more of an aggressive defense, which is why they can create turnovers. When you extend plays, that aggressiveness can come back to bite you. So it wasn't shocking to me that Justin Fields had success here, and it wasn't shocking to me that the Dallas Cowboys gave up some stuff, especially on the ground. And I told you they were susceptible on the ground a little bit. However, I was really, really impressed with their ability to bounce back after they kind of got, threw the pick before halftime, couple of scores, and they said, okay, we need to buckle down and go make a play here. And they did. Plus, It was Dak Prescott's best game since last year, the beginning of last year. He was efficient. He played great. And if they get that Dak Prescott, outside of the one errant throw in the first half for the interception, if they get that Dak Prescott, they're going to be a hard team to beat.
And no Zeke in this game, and it was no problem. Tony Pollard coming in 14 carries, 131 yards, 3 touchdowns from Pollard. You talk about the efficiency of Dak Prescott since his return, 76.9 completion percentage, averaging 228 yards per game, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's averaging 8.8 yards per attempt as well. It's been very efficient from the Cowboys quarterback since returning from his hand injury, since his finger injury, I should say. On the Bears side, real quick, though, Aaron, Justin Fields in this game, not a bad day from Justin Fields by any means. It was 17 of 23, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception, 60 yards on the ground, a rushing touchdown as well. So 3 total touchdowns from Justin Fields. He's been good. He's been better, I should say, the last 2 weeks, over 67% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns to 1 interception ratio. I mean, it's been better from Justin Fields. And you even mentioned it on our morning show that you're seeing an improvement from this Bears team. Are they headed in the right direction?
I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to say it wasn't getting better. I thought Justin Fields over the past 2 weeks has been great. I like what they're doing with Justin Fields offensively. I like the fact that they're moving him out of the pocket. He looked very, very comfortable. He's been accurate with the football. And by the way, he did not throw an interception yesterday. You said interception. He did not throw an interception.
I have it on here wrong.
Yeah, he did not throw an interception, but he did, but it got called back. Trayvon Diggs, they ruled it hit the ground. But anyways,
our research department.
Anyways, I think that Justin Fields has looked great. I've liked what I've seen from him. I have now it's kind of going back and forth, but over the last 2 weeks, I have some more excitement about him. I think that now they're trending in the right direction. He still has no help on the outside. Their running game is elite. They can run with any team in the league. And his ability to escape and create plays off schedule is like very few in the NFL. So I think if he continues to do that and they continue to move the pocket, knowing that their offensive line is not strong, I think he can have more success. He's looked comfortable. He's looked confident. And I think that's what's most important. But I think a big thing is he's gotten help. He's gotten help on the defensive side. He's gotten help in the run game. And it's not just him feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. And I think that's important.
Cowboys moved to 6-2 here. Like we said, second straight year they do that. And the Bears move to 3-5 after the loss to the Cowboys, 49-29. The next game on our list is the Miami Dolphins taking on the it's the Miami Dolphins defeating the Detroit Lions 31-27. This is back-to-back weeks for the Dolphins getting wins. Tua again they just don't lose with Tua. It's plain and simple. They just don't lose with Tua Tagovailoa as their quarterback. I believe they're 4-0 right now with Tua in the lineup, starting and finishing games this year for the Dolphins. They just do not lose with him. They win this game and really get the offense back on track after lackluster. Hey, we both got Taco Bell. We both got Taco Bell. That's the go-to. But the offense for the Dolphins gets back on track here. You look at Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle's day, both over 100 yards. They are the most dynamic duo in the NFL today. Tua comes back 29 of 36, 382 and 3. Great day from the offense from the Dolphins. I do want to talk about one specific thing, though. And maybe this isn't on script or on brand or needed to talk about it, but this is what we do on this show. You could have a great day offensively. You could have a great win, but we're still going to nitpick and talk about what's wrong because we want to call things out. This Dolphins defense allows 27 points to Lions offense that's been shut out and held to under 10 points past 2 weeks. They allow 27 points here. Obviously, you get Amon-Ra St. Brown back. You get DeAndre Swift back. That matters. But is there any concern right now for the Dolphins defense?
Not really. I don't. One thing that what's different about the Dolphins compared to the Bills at times, but even you see it with Buffalo too sometimes. The Chiefs, you see it with sometimes. when you have an offense that's that electric, you often end up having to put your defense back on the field a lot. Now, that was kind of the case in this one. Detroit got off to a hot start. First of all 27 points came in the first half. So the Miami defense did not allow them to score in the second half. I thought that was big. They made adjustments, and I thought that was big. But this Dolphins defense is going to be hit or miss at times because they know their offense is electric. They can take more chances. And when they take chances, they're going to give up some big plays. We mentioned this. Detroit offense is different.
Different when DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown are back is what he's saying.
When they have them on points, when those players are here, they're able to score more points. And Miami's defense is susceptible to stuff like that when they're looking to create big plays. I think when you know you got Tyreek Hill and you know Tua and Jalen Waddle's on the other side, you're like, I'm trying to pick this. I'm trying to pick this off. I'm gonna try to jump this route. I'm gonna try to do a little bit more. And sometimes it bites them. Yeah, there's got to be a little bit of like, we got to be better, but not giving up anything in the second half. Like, I was okay with that. I was like, okay, they made their adjustments. They've settled down. I'm not too concerned about the Miami Dolphins. I think they're a really good football team. We saw it when they played Buffalo. We saw it when they, played some other teams. And I think they're in a good spot right now. I really do.
Yeah. And you talked about the fact that once you get past those 27 points really in the first half from the Lions, 0 points in the second half, only 5 first downs, only 6 to 7 total yards of offense. This was a team that really shut it down once the second half rolled around.
And it's not their first time. Remember, the Baltimore game, they gave up 28 points in the first half of that game, and we were all, oh, no, what's wrong with them? And then the second half, they only gave up 10 points, and they came back and won that game. This is a defense that has been able to make their adjustments, very similar to the way Cincinnati played a lot last year. You have to like that. You have to like the idea of being able to make adjustments. I think that's important, and I think that can carry you when you get late in the season.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, this offense, there's not much to say there's not much else to say from this offense when you look at it. It was an incredible day from Tua Tagovailoa and company. This is another day. This is Jalen Waddle's third career game with 2+ receiving touchdowns. It's just what else can you say about this Miami Dolphins offense? What?
I can tell you that you owe Tyreek Hill an apology.
What did I say?
I know you've apologized before, but you owe him a sincere solo cam shot apology about how he wasn't a true receiver and not that good. And he's like, that man is unreal.
Tyreek Hill. I'm getting emotional right now. It's tough times in my life. I think that I owe you an apology, sir. You are not only a great wide receiver, but you're the best damn wide receiver in the NFL, man. You go out and get your shit, dude. You are that dude. You got the speed. You got the talent. You are Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson of the NFL. You are the most electrifying wide receiver in the league. You are that dude. Tyreek Hill, I apologize for disrespecting you when you were with Patrick Mahomes. You can do it with any quarterback. You can do it with anybody. I can be your quarterback. You still putting up $150 with me. And that's what I appreciate about you, Tyreek Hill. You that dude. Was that
was beautiful. But I mean, seriously, seriously, on a real serious note, he's gone over 150 yards 4 times this year already. He's got 70 catches on the year already. Almost 1,000 yards through 8 games. The numbers he's putting up they're
2K?
insane.
2K?
They're insane. He is he has a chance to get 2,000 yards this year. Yep. He does. It takes a lot. You can't get hurt. You got to continue to do it. Can't have bad games. Like sometimes it's hard, but he's definitely on pace for being right there, man. Being right there. And for everybody that wanted to just crown Cooper Kupp as the best receiver in football this year,
he ain't even close to Tyreek Hill.
Cooper Kupp ain't Tyreek Hill.
Even in Cooper Kupp's last year, where it was historic numbers for Cooper Kupp,
he ain't Tyreek Hill.
He ain't Tyreek Hill. No, not even in the same stratosphere. And that's not to disrespect Cooper Kupp.
No,
I don't think there's a wide receiver in the NFL that's on the same level as Tyreek Hill. And I personally thought that was Devontae Adams. That was Devontae Adams.
But the amazing thing about Tyreek Hill is people don't realize is he came out as like a gadget player, right? He developed into a great wide receiver. He wasn't a wide receiver. Like when he came into the NFL, he was a guy with speed that could move and shifty and fast. When you have that ability that he has, and now you've learned how to run routes and know how to read defenses and get into zone coverage and leverage where you want to be on the field and have great hands. There's not a thing any defense can do to stop Tyreek Hill. Nothing. You just can't.
Truly game-changing special abilities for Tyreek Hill, and it's really helpful for Tua Tagovailoa and his numbers, who now remains as one of the best quarterbacks from that draft, if not the best quarterback from that draft. Start giving Tua his flowers as well. Dolphins win this game 31-27. Next game on our list is the Arizona Cardinals falling to the Minnesota Vikings 34-26. The Vikings extend their win streak to 5 games and now sit 3.5 games on top of the NFC North, leading their division here. They move to 6-1 on the year. Cardinals move to 3-5. Let's start on the Vikings side of things because they were able to pull out this win late. We talked about their defense needing to make stops. And I think that's what they did here against a Cardinals offense that is explosive. I mean, 26 points. I mean, that is what it is. It's fine. It's not a bad day in terms of points. But when it came down to it, and you talked about this on the show, and I'll get your response in a second. You talked about on this show that this defense has to step up when it matters the most, and they did that late in the fourth quarter against Kyler Murray. When Kyler Murray needed points, they were sacking him, they were in his face, they were getting the pressures, and they made it hard for this Arizona Cardinals offense to function. I get it. DeAndre Hopkins has the day that he has, but when it mattered most, the Vikings defense showed up, showed out, did what they had to do to seal the deal for the Cardinals in this game. Your thoughts on the Cardinals defense overall, or I keep saying the Cardinals defense, the Vikings defense, I'm sorry, their defense overall in this game.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I thought they got stops when they needed to get stops. And I thought Minnesota let the Cardinals hang around in this game when they didn't have to. But their offense kind of put them in some unfortunate situations, and the defense came up with big plays. And we talk about these teams that are Super Bowl caliber teams. You don't have to be great. You have to be great when it matters. And I think that's what the Vikings have been doing this year, which is why they've been able to win some of these late close games. The Cardinals help them? Absolutely. The Cardinals definitely helped them by doing, schematically things, didn't run the football the way they needed to run the football, but the Minnesota Vikings handled business. They did what they were supposed to do. And I think that's the most important thing. We're not looking at this Minnesota Vikings team and saying, oh my God, this is a world beater offense. Like, yeah, they put up 34 points, but they also were able to create, they were methodical and they were efficient. But for the most part, this looks like a very similar offense. And I've said that a number of times. This is a similar offense from what we saw last year. The difference is the defense is making the plays when it matters. The strip fumble in the Bears game, interception in the Saints game. This game now, you get defensive stops, late sacks, fumbles, things like that. I think that's an important aspect to getting into the playoffs and having a deep playoff run. So shout out to Minnesota. We said this could be a surprise team if the defense stepped up. I said at the beginning of the season, I didn't care what their offense did because I knew what they were going to be. The defense continues to play like this. They're a surprise football team. And by the way, the NFC North is over. Minnesota already won it. It's done.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's Minnesota and everyone else. They are clearly, by far, not even close, the best team in the NFC North. And let's throw some flowers Kirk Cousins' way for this game. Listen to this. This is mind-blowing when I read this. Most consecutive games with a passing touchdown, active streaks in the NFL. 37 straight games with a passing touchdown for Kirk Cousins. 37 straight games for Kirk Cousins. The next closest one, 16 games from a man named Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo.
That, honestly, Vinny, though, by listening to that stat, should tell you a lot. If the top two names on any list are Kirk Cousins and Jimmy Garoppolo, it shouldn't mean much.
Well, the two behind him. So it's Kirk Cousins 37, Jimmy G 16, Joe Burrow 14, and Patrick Mahomes with 12. So the names behind those two are not that bad. But
love those numbers. I do. Those weird, those obscure numbers.
It's what I do.
I know. It's good nuggets. Don't get me wrong. I like when you give it out. I just always like to make fun of it because I just think it's, those are just stats that are, because they're always obscure. They're always weird. Like nobody would say Kirk Cousins first, right?
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's the thing. Give Kirk Cousins the credit.
No, I'm not going to give him credit for that. I don't care. It doesn't mean anything. When was the last time Kirk Cousins was in the playoffs? Winning?
That's
like,
fair.
I don't care. It doesn't mean anything if you're not winning.
Yeah. Concerns for the Cardinals in this game? Where are we at with the Cardinals after this?
Same concerns I had before. The running game is atrocious. But again, I think a lot of that's on Cliff Kingsbury and the play calling. You had to try to run the football. 9 carries for Eno Benjamin, 5 for Darrell Williams. A week ago, Keontae Ingram came in and played well, and you didn't play him at all. And you're letting Darrell Williams, who's, let's be honest, he's a veteran. He's kind of older and washed and not really that efficient, go 5 for 8. Eno Benjamin only gets 9 carries. Kyler's carrying the other 6, and a lot of those are on scrambles. The game was close, like 7-3 after 1, 14-10 after halftime, 28-27 after 3 quarters. Like, why are you going away from the run game? And I get it. Like, you have Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, but these teams just are they're so stubborn. The coaches are so stubborn. Teams are so stubborn. It gets old after a while, and this is how you lose your job. That's how you lose your job. You just have to find another way to make the running game be efficient. Give them something else so that pass rush can't get in there and just wreak havoc on it. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's not about being successful, but a week ago, you had 30 carries between your running backs, or at least 21 between your running backs and another 7 from Kyler. You lost 10 less this week, and you're running into the same situations. I don't get it. Last week you win the game, Kyler Murray throws 29 times. This week you throw him 44 times and you lose the game.
Could Arizona be a sneaky team in the running back trade market? Maybe a guy like Kareem Hunt? I mean, talk about the Rams.
They just signed James Conner. Why would they?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
That's too much capital. And I don't think it's the running back talent.
It's the play calling.
I just think it's the way their offense is. Like, they just want to spread it out and throw and let Kyler jitterbug around the backfield. And
that's the thing. I mean, we talk about coming in with Cliff Kingsbury being the offensive mind that he was coming out of Texas Tech. You think about it, at Texas Tech, they don't run the ball that much in the Big 12. Like, running is not that big of a thing in the Big 12. So, and then with Texas Tech, especially, like, it's throw, make plays like that.
Passes. And I'll be honest, man, I equate Cliff Kingsbury to like Chip Kelly. Go back to college, bro. It's not, the NFL is not college. You don't just get away with doing the same things you did at Tech. It's not how it works in the NFL. These defensive coordinators, they get paid millions too to stop you. And it's, I don't know. But I owe somebody an apology. And not, I mean, I've always, and it's not that serious. No, I owe DeAndre Hopkins. Okay. I owe DeAndre Hopkins an apology because I'm a huge DeAndre Hopkins fan. I said he was the best receiver in football for years. Like, I thought, man's greatest hands, some of the greatest hands I've ever seen play the game.
Right as you're about to apologize.
I wouldn't be able to produce at the same level that he used to produce at, and I don't need to see anymore. The man's still the top 3 to 5 receiver in this game, and I'm sorry that I ever doubted DeAndre Hopkins.
I remember those conversations. I do remember those conversations. And now in 2 weeks, he has 27 targets, 12 receptions, 262 yards.
Leads the NFL. Leads the NFL since he returned. So
he has been good. On that offense, the passing offense is there. Just got and one thing that I want to bring up before, and the last thing, and I know I'm not really the analyst here, but one thing that to cap off your running the ball statement about the Cardinals, when you run the ball too, you're controlling the game. You are controlling the time of possession. You're controlling the game. You're keeping the ball on. You're keeping the ball in really your best player's hands when you're giving it to Kyler Murray. When you're giving it, you're keeping it on the offensive side of the ball. Like, you're controlling it when you run the ball more. So like that, I think that could go a long way for the Cardinals, who do fall in this game 34-24 26 to the Minnesota Vikings. Next game on our list, the New Orleans Saints shut out. Oh man, this is heartbreaking to even say. The New Orleans Saints shut out the Las Vegas Raiders 24-20. Andy Dalton in this game did not look bad. He looked to 22 of 30, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns. But let's be real here. This game is not about Andy Dalton. This game is not about Derek Carr. This game is not about Josh Jacobs. This game is not about Devontae Adams. This game is about Alvin Mother effing Kamara. 27 total touches, 160 total yards, 3 total touchdowns. This was a special day for Mr. Alvin Kamara.
I don't think it was that special. It was Alvin Kamara. I expect this from Alvin Kamara. The work out of the receiving game, this is what they should have been doing all along. This is nothing surprising to me. He's the best player on the field every time he steps on the field. And if you get him the ball, good things happen. This was the tale of 2 different teams here. One team got their best player the ball. The other team did not get their best players the ball. Fact of the matter is, when you got Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, and between the both of them, they have 11 touches. 11. Between two, their best players, they have 11 touches. You have no shot at winning. Meanwhile, Alvin Kamara touches the ball damn near 30 times, gets in the end zone 3 times, and does what he needs to do with it. I think we need to give more credit to the Saints defense. This is the defense that we thought the Saints were going to be. At home, must-win game basically here, and they came in and made the Raiders look like a damn peewee football team. Derek Carr didn't have nothing in this game. Jarrett Stidham had to come in for him. Only 100 yards to Derek Carr. I believe there was at one point in time, there was like 22 yards of total offense for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm sorry, 183 total yards of offense is not going to get it done in the NFL. The Saints defense was swarming. They played like I thought they should have been playing all year. Shout out to them, big time game. And they deserve the credit today, because that's the one thing the Saints, if they get, they're a dangerous team. If that Saints defense gets back to what they've been the past 5 years, they are a
dangerous team is what he's going to say.
Dangerous football. If you can get Alvin Kamara the ball and play defense like that, you're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that this is what we were hoping to see from this Raiders team to start the season. Like, this is what not Raiders team, the Saints team that had our high expectations for them because we thought that their defense was that good and that their offense just needed to figure out quarterback situation for the Saints here. Andy Dalton comes in, wins. Are they making the right decision here? Like, that was a big storyline coming into this game, going with Andy Dalton over Jameis Winston. Thoughts on this revolving door for the Saints quarterback? Is it Andy Dalton?
I don't think it's that revolving. I think it's been Andy Dalton, and I think it's going to remain Andy Dalton. He looks competent. He looks efficient. And I know last week he threw a couple of pick sixes and it sucked, but Jameis could have done that too. So I think they're just going to ride with Andy Dalton. And, Jameis is hurt too. So that, despite what we think, that broken back or whatever, it's still an issue. If you're not an elite level quarterback and you're just a guy, or you're just very similar to Andy Dalton, then why not go with the healthier quarterback? So I'm okay with them playing Andy Dalton. I think he did a good job.
Yeah, no, I agree. On the Raiders side, real quick, this is not a good win or not a good loss for them. They get shut out. We talked about it on Thursday's show or Friday's show that this is a team that still has potential to be in the playoffs. We like what they were doing with the running the ball. They didn't really run the ball that much in this game. Devontae Adams only had 1 reception for 3 yards here. All around, not a good game for the Raiders.
That's insane. Listen, when you say Devontae Adams had 1 catch for 3 yards, do you know how insane that sounds? First game since 2016 that Devontae Adams had just 1 reception. That's insane. Did Marshawn Lattimore play in this game? I didn't dive deep enough into this game, because I need to go find if Marshawn Lattimore was on the field and if he shadowed Devontae Adams or not. That might explain it a little bit better, because Marshawn Lattimore is a good corner and he's physical, but you got to find a better way. This loss is all on Josh McDaniels. It's all on Josh McDaniels. Derek Carr didn't play well and they didn't run. This is on coaching. He got out coached by Dennis Allen. Got out coached.
Marshawn Lattimore was not in. The Saints did the. I'm reading a stat here. The Saints did this without Marshawn Lattimore. With Devontae Adams doing.
That's insane. They don't have their best corner. You get Devontae Adams 1 catch for 3 yards. That's an indictment on Josh McDaniels. And just after a week of me giving him credit, now I got to come right back at him. Like, you have to do a better job as the boy wonder play caller that you're supposed to be to get your guys the ball. You cannot have Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, your starting running back and your elite wide receiver that you traded for, getting 11 touches. Like, it's got to be more than that. You have to find a way to get them involved. That's on Josh McDaniels, and he definitely took this L.
Yeah. This is not a good loss for the Las Vegas Raiders, who now fall further and further behind out of possibly getting a playoff spot. I mean,
3.3 yards per play in this game. That's insane.
Is this the nail in the coffin for the Raiders for a playoff spot, or you think?
Honestly, they're a terrible team on the road. They're 0-4 on the road. They just don't. I don't think they have enough. I don't think they're not the type of team to me that can go on a stretch where they can win 5-6 in a row. And if you can't do that, you're going to be too far behind.
Yeah, and when you look at their schedule, I mean, they've already passed their bye. They have Jacksonville this coming week, which, I mean, that cross-country travel might not be that great. And a Jaguars team that, even though they're not winning, they're a tough team to play against. Colts, Denver, Seattle. I mean, they haven't won a road game. They haven't won a road game.
So when I look at Denver, at Seattle, those are tough places to play. Like, and then you go at the Rams, at Pittsburgh, like, your road games are tough and you haven't won a road game. I don't care what you do at home. I don't know, man. Maybe they win 3 or 4 or 5 more games max.
That's wild. That's wild to say. Tough first year for Josh McDaniels and the
AFC West, man. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Denver, even the Chargers, who are, I know, 5-3 or whatever. Yeah. So much for what that division was supposed to be. The Kansas City Chiefs and then everybody else.
Yep. Per usual. As the Saints defeat the Raiders 24-0, shut them out in their home barn. Next game on our list, it's the Philadelphia Eagles remaining undefeated, 7-0, beating the Steelers 35-13. The Steelers now drop to 2-6. The Eagles are 7-0 for the second time in franchise history. The last time they started 7-0 was 2004. Eagles fans, you know what that year was. That was your Super Bowl run year. So maybe you guys can mimic what you did in 2004 now that you're 7-0. In a game where we expected the Eagles to dominate, they did dominate. A.J. Brown, a dominant day. Jalen Hurts, a dominant day. What stood out to you the most in terms of the Eagles' play today that deserves some comments?
I thought they played the way they've been playing all year. Their offense is really good. They're really efficient. They're big play oriented, though. I like that. But then there's something that scares me there too. They're very similar. I don't want to say they're similar to the Bengals last year, but they are in the way they're like that late season run that the Bengals had. It's starting to remind. That's what Philly looks like to me. They're very big play oriented, and when they get those big plays, they're unbeatable. Like, I don't care who you are, nobody's going to beat them. It's going to be a defense that takes away those big plays and forces them to go dink and dunk and all the way down the field. Without Jalen Hurts making a mistake. I think that's what defenses need to start doing to them, and I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen a team actually been able to do that because they also can run the ball really well. So Philly's just playing really well right now. I told you that I picked the Steelers because I was just thinking they're going to have to lose a game sometime. I don't think they go undefeated, and I thought the Steelers would put up more of a fight, but they just gave up too many big plays, and you can't win football games doing that. You see what teams are doing to the big play offenses. The Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, they're making them drive the field. You have to do that against Philadelphia. If you don't, they're going to kill you. And the defense is playing really well. The Steelers don't have much of an offense. The running game is non-existent. And the Philadelphia Eagles are just on a roll right now. There's going to be – and it doesn't help that they don't play anybody. So you look at their schedule, it's just cakewalk after cakewalk after cakewalk. I don't know when they're going to be tested. I guess the next time they play Dallas, that might be it. I don't know if they have another game on their schedule that is a game where you're like, oh no, they might lose. Like, seriously. Who do they play that scares you the rest of the season? One team, and it's the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. It's I mean,
They might.
You broke up right when you were about to say whatever you were about to say.
A schedule that scares me.
What did you say?
I said, as much as I said they wouldn't go 17-0, the more I look at their schedule, they might. They have a chance. Dallas is the only game at Dallas. I'm like, that's going to be tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to give some credit to the New York Giants, I think that they could split with the Giants. I think the Giants could steal one.
Nope. I'm not going to give credit to the Giants. I'm not. I'm going to give credit to them because they've played well this year. There's no way in hell they're beating Philadelphia.
They're not on the same level. I mean, the Eagles are on another level. I mean, that's
no way.
That's where the Eagles are at, and a dominant win here for them. Now, Mike Tomlin on the other side of things. This is only the second time under Tomlin that they have gone 2-6 to start a season. The last time was 2013, where they did finish 8-8. So they were able to steer the ship and get it back on track there. A little bit different this year, right? Where are we at with the Steelers? I mean, it's hard. I can't even grade. Like, I feel like I was going to ask you where are we at with Kenny Pickett, because like he's a storyline for the Steelers. His development is a storyline, but game after game after game, it's not an easy road for him. It's not easy to say, okay, let's judge Kenny Pickett this way and that way, because it's against a great defense after great defense and great team after great team. So
that's not fair. That's not fair. Why do we get to judge every other quarterback but not Kenny Pickett? Why do we get to judge all the other young quarterbacks, but we don't get to judge Kenny Pickett because he's playing tough defenses?
What did you think of him then this season? Or this game?
He didn't play that great. And I'm not saying it's his fault. I like what I've seen from him, to be honest. I think there's something there, but he's very similar to these other guys in Trevor Lawrence last year or Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. He has no offensive line either. He doesn't have a running game. Yeah, that's on the Steelers for not surrounding him with the requisite pieces. But I'm not going to judge every other quarterback. I'm not going to sit here and have conversations about all these other young quarterbacks and not have questions about Kenny Pickett. Like, he can't turn the football over, and he does throw a lot of interceptions, but I do like his aggressive mentality. I like when I watch a player, I'm looking for a lot of the it factor. When you play, what do you look like when you play? I get he's throwing interceptions. I don't care so much about that. What do you look like when you play? He has something there. There's some moxie about him. I like that about him. I think he can develop into something, but they have to build it right around him. The one I'm disappointed in the most is Najee Harris, and I'm going to continue to say it. You anoint a guy that is supposed to be an elite running back, and I get the offensive line is bad. You don't have to tell me the offensive line is bad. I get it. Najee Harris has 8 carries. 8 carries for 30 yards. 8 carries for 30 yards in this game. This is not Pittsburgh Steelers football.
He got outplayed by Jalen Warren. 6 carries for 50 yards from Warren, and we've talked about this all season. And I was obviously having my ties to Alabama. I have been hopeful for Najee Harris to just break out of this slump, but it's not happening. Another terrible performance from him, and you cannot just blame it on the offensive line. That's not an excuse for running. It's a terrible. We've seen plenty of running backs do well without an offensive line in the past. Yeah. I mean, as a Jaguar fan, I've seen James Robinson rush for almost 1,000 yards with a terrible offensive line. Do not give me the offensive line crap for Najee Harris, and that's someone I like. I was a defender of Najee Harris coming out last year. I liked him. He had a great last year, but you were right. There's something about Najee Harris and his efficiency when he gets the touches that just is not there, and it hasn't been there. And that's a key with a young quarterback. You are going to have to figure out a rushing game for him to be able to not only grow for himself and make the team grow, but also the development of Kenny Pickett.
Sorry, I froze. But it's strange to me when I think of Najee, and this is what boggles my mind. When I think of Najee, I think of a bigger, more physical running back. So when you give him the ball, maybe he starts slow in games, but you wear down the defense, and then you pop a big one. I'll be honest. I think of him very similar to the way I think of Zeke right now. But he doesn't even look as efficient as Zeke. Zeke's efficiency is down. We know he's not as explosive as he used to be, but it just looks like he just has nothing. Like there's no juice in him. And if I'm a defense, I'm like, bro, keep him on the field. Don't bring that little jitterbug Jaylen Warren on the field. Yeah. I don't want him. But I don't see him wearing down defenses. I don't see him like delivering physical hits like you see from a Derrick Henry or from an Ezekiel Elliott or from a Nick Chubb. Like I don't see that style in him. And it's like I told you guys I was out on Najee Harris like last year. Like I've never been a big Najee Harris fan. I don't like that style of running back in today's NFL. And it's getting worse. It really is getting worse. And I'm not saying they wasted a first round pick, but I'm lightweight saying that they wasted that pick.
Yeah. I mean, it's we talk about this isn't good for the running backs who are coming out of the draft or coming into the draft trying to say, okay, I am a first round pick, because even if you have a great college career and you are a great running back, it's hard to hit on.
Now it's about type. It's about type. Are you electric? And I said this before. Look at all the great backs in the NFL right now. And I'm not trying to knock Jonathan Taylor right now. He's hurt. But even Jonathan Taylor has electricity to him, right? He has that breakaway speed, which makes him a really, really efficient runner. Nick Chubb is a tackle breaker. Javonte Williams, they run through tackles. If you don't have something that is electric about you or stands out, you do not fit in today's NFL, which is why teams wait until the 3rd and 4th round and they go draft guys that they can get. Dameon Pierce is a bowling ball. He's punishing defenders. And you drafted Najee Harris in the 1st round and you trip him by his ankle and he falls down. Like, that's not what he was drafted to do. He was drafted to punish defenders, and he's not doing it.
Yeah, no, that is a big part of the Steelers on why they're losing football games and not even being close in football games. I believe I was the only one on our panel that did have the Eagles smoking the Steelers in this game, so I do want to take credit for that. As the Eagles defeat the Steelers 35-13. Next game on our list, it's the San Francisco 49ers continuing their regular season dominance over the Los Angeles Rams with a 31-14 victory over LA. They have now won 8 of the past 9 meetings. Their only loss in that span was last year in the NFC Championship game. The last 2 regular season meetings, they've won by 15 plus points. The big story in this game is Christian McCaffrey. Good God, Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to give you the floor because you've been a CMC guy. You've been trying to tell people. I'm going to give you the B-roll for him. I'm going to give you everything. Go in on your dude.
Yeah, it's unfortunate he plays for the 49ers because I hate the Niners. However, I told you guys this was a dream matchup. This was a match made in heaven with Kyle Shanahan and Christian McCaffrey. There is nothing on the football field this man can't do. As you've seen when he threw one, as you've seen when he ran one, and then as you've seen when he caught one. The trifecta. But the more importantly, first full week of practice, you see what he is capable of. Stop with the injury-prone Christian McCaffrey. He is the best running back in the NFL. And I don't care if you want to say, well, he can't run the ball 30 times in between the tackles. Don't care. This today's NFL, he is the most versatile. He is the dude that you can involve in an offense. And I told you guys this about the 49ers, Super Bowl contending 49ers, that they are so multiple now on offense that they did this without Deebo Samuel, and you didn't even notice he wasn't on the field. That's how good Christian McCaffrey is. They basically took Christian McCaffrey and played him as Deebo Samuel, and you didn't even know the difference. And Jimmy Garoppolo played great because Jimmy Garoppolo said, all I have to do is not fuck it up. And he didn't fuck it up. And so, first of all, shout out to Christian McCaffrey for how great this man is. The great white hype, great white hope. I'll be honest. You don't see this from white running backs. There are no white running backs in the NFL that have had success like Christian McCaffrey.
You froze.
Oh. You just don't see white running backs in the NFL doing stuff like this. If this was a black quarterback in the early 90s, we would be lauding over how good he deserves opportunities and how good he is as a black quarterback. And I agree that we shouldn't see color. However, the NFL is color. We all know what positions play what, and there are no white running backs in the NFL that play, let alone have the impact that Christian McCaffrey has. He deserves everything that he is getting today, all the credit. The man is just super talented, and this offense is going to be crazy when Deebo Samuel gets back.
Christian McCaffrey makes me feel so much better whenever I play Madden or NCAA that I make my guy a running back and I'm like, I'm doing great things. And I'm like, man, this ain't realistic. That just doesn't happen. Just doesn't happen. But Christian McCaffrey makes it possible. I'm gonna do something here that I want to point out, and it's a little film breakdown. And I know you talk about it all the time, but I don't think the replay is in here. But you talk about the dynamic playability from the 49ers offense that with Christian McCaffrey added in here and no Deebo Samuel on this play. When you throw it out to Christian McCaffrey, you can't see it because we don't have the replay of it. And I meant to try and find it. But when you see Christian McCaffrey here, every Rams defender respects Christian McCaffrey enough and they swarm in. Safeties drop and it left the receiver wide open in the end zone. Like that, there's all this space because this corner here that on the right of the screen sucked in on Christian McCaffrey because he's Christian McCaffrey. You think he's going to run the ball because he's that damn good. And you know that's the game plan is to stop Christian McCaffrey. But then you sell out for it and you leave guys like Brandon Ayuk wide open for an easy walk-in touchdown. It's scary what this offense can be with Christian McCaffrey and the offensive mind of Kyle Shanahan. I don't know if you want to break that film down any more than what I just did. I tried my best, but
no, you're good. You're right. But this is what happens when you have. This is why the NFL is so beautiful, and this is why I'll never stop loving the game of football. Is because if everybody does their job, then you don't have to worry about was that Christian McCaffrey or Deebo Samuel or whoever, right? But in your mind, that's what you think as a player. Like, who am I looking out for? Every person has an assignment on that field. So if the safety was supposed to be over the top, then he probably had his eyes in the backfield and he made a mistake. And so his one mistake now didn't allow that linebacker that did his job to get out there to Christian McCaffrey, who did his job. It didn't matter because the safety didn't do his. Or if the corner was supposed to drop back and be in deep thirds and he didn't do his job, it doesn't matter. This is why the NFL is so important for everyone to be on the same page. You have to trust. If I'm a corner and my job is to stay with my receiver, I have to trust that everybody else is going to do their job. And if they don't, then I still did my job. When you have so many weapons like the 49ers have, it is hard to get out of the mindset of, oh, let me go make a play. Oh, let me go get Christian McCaffrey because I know the ball's going there. Let me get Deebo Samuel. Let me go after George Kittle. There's just so many ways they can disguise what they want to do. It's almost like a defense that's in a disguised coverage, but they do it offensively. So they're tricking you offensively to say, this is what we're doing. In reality, they're doing something else. They're almost playing defense on offense. It's insane. Kyle Shanahan is a genius. If he can only figure out how to do it now in the Super Bowl late in games and have a quarterback that can go win games, they'll be a Super Bowl winning team. And I'm afraid to say it because I think they are right now, even with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. I think that the 49ers at full strength are the best team in the NFC.
Well, when you have those weapons that they have there with Deebo, and that was without Deebo in this game, it can be truly special to see. On the Rams side of things, though, a little update on Cooper Kupp. If you have not seen the news already, he was injured in this game, and it was a scary sign for the Rams. People were very afraid because that's really their offense. The update on him, he is just dealing with tissue swelling in his ankle. There's no structural damage at all, and he is expected to play this coming Sunday when they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But this Rams team, once again, falling short. Just 14 points in this matchup. They lose again. Defending Super Bowl champs falling to 3-4. We're out, right? It's time to just pack it up, right? We're out.
I didn't hear you.
I was basically asking if we're out on the this is we've packed up and we're leaving.
I'm gonna number one is I don't buy Cooper Kupp's only dealing with some swelling and he's gonna play and he's fully he'll be out. I think something more. I think he will be limited. And I agree. The Rams do look cooked. A couple of reasons why. First of all, like the Rams, when they were at their best, including last year, they were able to run the football. When they went to the Super Bowl in 2019, they were able to run the football. They can't run the football. And they don't have an offensive line to protect Matt Stafford. And this does not look like the Super Bowl team from a year ago. I think they are desperate for something in the run game in order to get them going, because offensively they don't stand a chance. If they don't have Cooper Kupp for any stretch of time, 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, they don't score points, any points. They are the Los Angeles Cooper Kupps. This is their entire team. He's accounting for damn near 50% of their offense. They are a bad football team with an elite level player in Cooper Kupp and a quarterback who's really good in Matt Stafford, but nothing else. They're a disaster. They're the 3rd or 4th best team in this division. They are not going anywhere. It's not going to change because they can't fix their issues. Everybody thinks their issues are fixed if they go sign Odell Beckham, but it's not. Their issues aren't going to be fixed. Number one, it's not just their offense now. It's bleeding over into their defense because their offense is so bad. This team is in shambles right now. And fun stat, though, about this game, and then we can move on. I know we've been on this game for a minute. Sean McVay is like the little stepbrother to Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan owns this man. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? It makes sense. Shanahan was on the same staff with McVay in Washington. He knows everything McVay wants to do. Sean McVay has 2 losses in his career to teams when leading at the half. 2, both of them to Kyle Shanahan. It is insane how much coaching matters and matchups matter. And the 49ers have the Rams number, but the Rams are not a good football team right now. And they don't have any assets. They don't have anything. You can go sign Odell Beckham. There you go. They have nothing. They don't have any assets to trade. They can go try to sign Odell Beckham Jr., but guess what? If he only has a second to throw the ball, Odell ain't going to help him either. The Rams are in trouble. The Rams,
big time. No assets to try and fix things. It's like you gave it all up for that Super Bowl, and I mean, it was worth it. It was worth it. They won it. They won it. Yeah. Time to rebuild. Now it's time to maybe hit the reset button and try and figure out what the hell is happening and try and find some solutions to the problems. Niners defeat the Rams and own the Rams 31-14. Next game on our list is the Seattle Seahawks defeating the New York Giants in our only matchup that featured two over 500 teams. The Seahawks get their victory. They move to 5-3 by beating the Giants 27-13. This was a day. I mean, the Seahawks, 3rd straight win in a row, lead the NFC West. These 2 teams coming in were like, okay, which is the more surprising team? Which is more the real deal team? Seahawks looked good in this game. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't watch enough for this game, but I thought the Seahawks looked really good in this game. You're on mute.
If you're asking me, I agree. I thought the Seahawks played really, really well. They didn't turn the football over, which I told you, this is. They had 1 turnover in the game. When you don't have a lot of turnovers, you can be in football games. And that's really the difference in bad teams and good teams. It's about giving the ball and maximizing your opportunities to score, right? And taking away from the other team their opportunities to score. They created 2 turnovers and they only gave up 1. That's a winning formula. They didn't run the ball particularly well throughout this game, but they kept at it and they were able to make some plays late. And I thought that was important. Neither team was really great on 3rd down. The Giants were a little bit better. The Seahawks didn't convert any 3rd downs and they were still able to come out on top. I don't know what to say about the Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll has done an excellent job. Very similar to what we talked about with the NFC South, though. I think these 2 teams are nice stories. I think they're cool, good stories. They're playing really well. I don't think either one of these teams is ready to make it like a deep playoff run or anything, but you have to give credit to the Seattle Seahawks for another great performance. For a team that everybody thought was tanking, that was like, oh, they just want to go get their franchise quarterback. They compete and they're playing really, really good football, just sound, fundamental, good football. And it's why they can go get wins like this. Now, they might not be able to beat some of the best teams in the league, but they can go win those marginal games that are decided, whether it's home field advantage or, a few possessions here or there decides the game. They can go get those wins. And I think they've done a hell of a job.
Yeah, and Geno Smith is getting the ball out. Last week it was the Marquise Goodwin show. DK Metcalf was questionable coming into this game. We didn't know if he was going to play. He did 6 receptions, 55 yards and a touchdown. A Tyler Lockett day as well, 5 receptions, 63 yards and a touchdown.
He dropped one too.
And he dropped
one right in his hands.
And that's the thing with good coaching. You stick to the game plan. Just because he dropped it, you're not changing anything. You're not doing anything different. They still gave the ball to Tyler Lockett and a good quarterback in Geno Smith, because if you watch the game when it happened, Geno Smith immediately goes to him. I mean, I'm sure a bunch of quarterbacks do that when there's a big time player who drops the ball in a big time moment. Like it happens, but Geno Smith, You saw him. He goes and rallies his boy up. He goes right back to him. They get the tutty. They win this game, in a game that, I mean, this was like you said, these two teams maybe are not all the way there yet, but they're on the right track, and the Seahawks are doing exactly what they need to do.
Seahawks are set up nice. They're set up real nice right now. They got a lot of picks. They got a lot of young talent. They drafted really well. They were one of our winners in the draft. I mean, you haven't even just talked about how good the offensive line has been, with two rookies in Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas. Not to mention they lost their starting center in Austin Blythe. When you get him back with Gabe Jackson and Damian, like, the offensive line is revamped. This is the young corners, or Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant and them. You just re-signed Quandre Diggs. They are set up to be a great football team in the next 3 to 4 years. If they can go, and I don't know. Do we want to talk about them getting a new quarterback, or do you want to rock with Geno Smith? But either way, I don't think it's. I mean, I think they're drafting someone no matter what. I think they're drafting a quarterback no matter what.
I know Pete Carroll is not Andy Reid in terms of an offensive guru and offensive mind in this league, but with the amount of picks, how many they have multiple first round picks this year, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, they're going to get a high one with Denver.
Exactly. So you can see a world where you take your quarterback high and you have him sit behind Geno Smith.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm saying, like, what I'm saying is they're going to draft a quarterback. Well, and then Geno could still be the guy.
Exactly. It's not even a knock on Geno Smith. It's just the truth and the fact of the matter. But you're now setting yourself up perfectly to follow. I mean, in the copycat league that we see, copy paste what the Chiefs are doing, draft your quarterback, let him sit behind Geno Smith for a year, let him learn, let him develop, and then come in. You have all the draft capital. We've talked about it so many times on this show that they are already building the foundation with the cornerstone pieces of Cross. They have DK. Their defense is getting better. Jamal Adams is hurt. They don't even have Jamal Adams on the field. Like, this is a team that is set up prime for the future. On the Giants side of things, they lose their first game in a while. Their 4-game winning streak is snapped. They moved to 6-2. It's not. This was inevitable. I'm gonna close this out. I don't know if you have anything on the Giants you wanted to talk about, but this is kind of what we said on Thursday's show when we were previewing this game. They were in London. Now they come back and they've been. This is their first road loss. They were bound to lose one. The travel's tough. They've been on the road a lot. This was just a tough matchup for the Giants coming into this game. They were unable to do it. 13 points. It was kind of just a setback game for them. I think the Giants are still the same team that we thought they were coming into this, though. A tough team to play against, who just needs everything to go right for them to get that dub. They're not going to out-talent players. I would like to see the Giants, though, and we talked about it earlier on the show. Maybe they can't because of Kenny Golladay. I would like to see them go out and be a little bit aggressive for a wide receiver. Just my thoughts. You're frozen. I would assume you have something to say about that, though.
Yeah, they could. I think the Giants are who they are. They struggle to score points, and that's, if they don't get turnovers, they're going to struggle. They just don't have the offensive firepower. If you stop Saquon Barkley, you stop that offense. Daniel Jones has done a good job not turning the football over. I think that's important. I think that's why they've been in games. So ultimately, that's what matters the most is, are they turning the football over? And when they're not turning the football over, they're going to be in games. And when they do turn the football over, they're not going to be in games. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah. In this game, it was tough. Seahawks defense looked good against them. But they will bounce back. They're 6-2 now on the season after falling to the Seahawks 27-13. Let's shift gears and let's get into our AFC matchups. Broncos country, let's survive. 21-17 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars here. They moved to 3-5. Jags moved to 2-6. The Broncos snapped their 4-game losing streak. Russell Wilson in this matchup, 18 of 30, 252 yards, a tutty, and an interception. This wasn't that great of a game from both sides. What stood out to you, though, Aaron, in this matchup in London?
I don't want to say I was impressed. That's going to be a stretch. No, it was going to be a stretch. But I thought Russell played okay, and especially in the second half. I thought they got things going. I thought it started slow, but I think they got things going. So I did like that. I saw, obviously, the Denver defense is really good. The Jacksonville defense played really well for the most part. But this came down to a more experienced quarterback and team to a less experienced quarterback and team. That's really the difference in this game. I thought that late drive that Russell put together for the win, I'm like, okay, that's what we expect from a veteran quarterback that you're paying $240 million to. The experience paid off, and I'm going to continue to say it. When you are an inexperienced football team, these are the games you lose. Week after week, the defense lets you down. You have a lead, 4 or 5 minutes left, and you need to stop them. The other team just says, you know what, we got a veteran quarterback. We're going to do what we do. We're going to drive down the field, and we're going to score. And then what that does is it puts a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence to be great. And he's not ready for that yet. He's getting better, but he's not ready to go down and just lead game-winning drives week after week. That's not where he's at in his career. It's his first year under Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson's still getting a feel for him and how he wants to use him. And so they lose those games. I come out of this game with positive notes really for both teams. The Broncos needed a win in the worst way and some positive affirmations going forward, and they got that. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars, they continue to be in games, and it's like 1 year we're talking about the Vikings last year, right? Oh, they can't win any close games. 1 year later, what happens? They're winning every close game. The same thing with the Giants, right? So I think it's a positive step for the Jaguars. We're going to continue to look at the result, but I think we're too driven on the results instead of looking at the process and how to become a great football team. So I thought both teams end up leaving this game and leaving London with a positive mindset of, yeah, we've lost 5 in a row now for Jacksonville, but they've been close. They're in every game. They're almost there. And it sucks as a fan, but that's the reality of where this league is at. It's always a one-possession game, and you got to find ways to win it at the end. And they're young. They're still learning.
And we talked about it at the beginning of the season with the Jaguars. This is what was going to happen. You're going to be we expect you to be closer in games. You're not winning the games. You're not being able to finish those games off, but you're right there. Every single loss the Jaguars have had this season, I believe, has been a single-digit loss. I'm trying to locate my notes here. I had it in my notes, and I just completely lost it. Oh yeah, all 6 of the Jaguars' losses this season have been by single digits. So I got that note right. But that's a good thing right now. That's like, losses suck. They do. It sucks. And like you said, from the fan perspective, it sucks. And it's wild to me to think about, like, everyone is so doom and gloom with the Jaguars because we've seen so much failure from this team in the past. But no one wants to reset things. No one wants to reset new year, new team, new coach, new everything. No one wants to reset after a miserable Urban Meyer year. People are forgetting where the Jaguars were at last year. So that's
the world we live in. Everybody wants results immediately. It's unfortunate that that's not the way this works in this business. There's so many positive things. Like, Trevor Lawrence is so much better than he was last year. I was just about to say Travis Etienne.
I got you.
A first-round draft pick that some people did not like that they took. He's been balling out, and if he's healthy, he's shown he can be an elite running back. I just think they're very underappreciated because the wins are not there. But I think that we're looking at a team that is just getting started. Doug Peterson is going to do a good job. He is going to get this team right. You give him another offseason with a franchise quarterback to work at, to get him more experience. Trevor Lawrence is going to read more defenses this year, know how to approach them next year, not make the throws in the red zone that he's made this year, not make the throws late in games like he's making this year. And then you see those losses turn to wins. So the defense is young and talented, and they're still learning. They're, bad penalties at bad times, which, again, young teams make. I think there's so much positive. We have to start looking at that and not so much of the negative, because they weren't going to win a Super Bowl this year, everybody.
Yeah.
Newsflash. So what? So they might not win a lot of games, but guess what? When they don't win a lot of games, what do they get? Another high draft pick. What do you do with another high draft pick? You get more talent. So,
it's hard to – you froze here. I'm going to jump in. It's hard to say – it's hard for people to be patient. Oh, all we heard
Go
was
ahead.
it's okay, and you're right. But I was gonna say, I was gonna say that like I get it. It sucks to lose, and we've been losing for quite a long time. But this has been the most excited I have been for a Jaguars team moving forward. I mean, Devin Lloyd is arguably right up there with Sauce Gardner as Defensive Rookie of the Year. You're seeing, like, whether you like it or not, Trevor Lawrence has improved this year in terms of his efficiency. He's still making some bad throws, but he's much more efficient than he was last year. You're seeing the investment in Travis Etienne. You just keep adding and keep building. Go out and draft a wide receiver in the first round next year. Go out and make more moves. Keep building this team, and you're set up for success. And I do like the direction the Jaguars are going. But they do fall to this one, to the Broncos, 21-17 in London, moving to 4-5 all time in London for the Jaguars. Next game on our list is the New England Patriots continuing their dominance over the New York Jets, now winning 13 straight games against the Jets. Now this one, 22-17. Bill Belichick now moves into second all time in the wins column. Congratulations to the GOAT and Bill Belichick. This game, your takeaways: Mac Jones does what he does. There's no really reason to like go too crazy about him. 24 of 35, 194 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. But it's about that man on my lower third that I want to talk about. Zach Wilson. What's your assessment of him from this game? He had 20 of 41, 355, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in a tight game.
Yeah, if you remember, I told you this was going to happen. I told you Belichick just owns the Jets, and I knew he would do that to Zach Wilson again. But a lot of this goes on the offensive coordinator and the play calling of the Jets. Zach Wilson had to play hero ball. That's just a terrible throw there. But that's what Zach Wilson was trying to do, was play hero ball. I don't understand the mentality of the coaches of the Jets. You've been putting Zach Wilson in such good positions to be good, just win games, manage the game, go out and make a few throws late with his arm talent, and do that. And then you lose Breece Hall, and all of a sudden you feel like you just can't run the ball anymore. Like what happened? Like I don't understand that. Michael Carter gets 7 carries, James Robinson gets 5, Ty Johnson gets 2, and you're done. 41 times for Zach Wilson again. And this game wasn't no blowout. It's not like you had to come back. The score was 10-6 at halftime. Like 10-6 at halftime, and you only ran the ball that many times. I don't understand it. This, again, is the lack of poor coaching decisions. Maybe they got caught up in the game, caught up in the moment. Zach Wilson was throwing the ball way too much. And then, again, you put a quarterback like him, who's an aggressive quarterback, in a situation to throw 40 times, you're asking for disaster. You're asking him to do too much, because that's what his mind's going to do when he's on the field. He's going to try to make plays. And he made some bad throws. He did not play well in this game. You have to be concerned about Zach Wilson at this point. He's not learning from those mistakes, because it's the same mistakes. We talked about Trevor Lawrence. He's learning. You see it's less mistakes this year. He's starting to pick up things. Zach Wilson in the same situations is making the same mistake, like forcing balls when he doesn't have to and not willing to give up on a play. And I think that's a level of concern you have to have. But he's still young, and I always give people time, especially quarterbacks. Ask Geno Smith. Took him 10 years. Like, this is a hard position to play, man, and we just want everybody to come in and be great, and that's not the way it works. So I think the patience still has to be there, but you have got to start learning. We want to see some of those mistakes that you duplicate. We want to see those eliminated, and he did not do that on Sunday, and Belichick once again proved why he's a really good defensive coach. He knew what they were going to do, and he forced them to do what they didn't want to do, and they played right into Belichick's hands, because the defense played great. It's not the defense. It's not on Jets defense. That defense is elite. That's an elite defense. They sacked Mac Jones 6 times. They turned the football over. The Jets offense just couldn't ever. They never got anything going. Yeah. Never got anything going, and it really cost them.
Yeah, I think the biggest story in this game was the running game. I mean, you look at like you said, 7 carries for Michael Carter, 5 carries for James Robinson. I mean, it wasn't a very productive day from them, and that's the key. And we talk about all the time. That's the key to your rush, to your offense, the young quarterback, is that they lose this one though, 22-17 to the Patriots, and the Jets now move to 5-3, still a good record, and the Patriots 4-4. So tight races in the AFC East for everyone that's not named the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins.
I was like, I think there's a clear pecking order in the AFC East.
There is.
The Jets and the Patriots are fighting for the worst team in that division. I'll say that. Even though the Jets beat the Dolphins, that we're gonna waive that one out because they didn't have Tua. So
yeah. Next game on our list, the Tennessee Titans defeat the Houston Texans 17-10 in Malik Willis's debut. Only six completions on 10 attempts for Malik Willis, 55 yards and an interception in his debut. Nothing to be said for the rushing attack of Malik Willis in this game either. His first career start, though, he gets the dub. This was the Derrick Henry game. He owns the Houston Texans, 32 carries, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns from the beast that is Derrick Henry. The Titans have now won 5 straight games by a combined margin of 29 points, really thanks to that man right there in Derrick Henry. Overall takeaways from this matchup between these two AFC South teams?
Yeah, what did I tell you Malik Willis was going to – what am I looking for from Malik Willis? That's exactly what he did. He just turned around and handed off to Derrick Henry. 4th straight game for Derrick Henry with 200-plus yards rushing on the ground against Houston. 4 times consecutively when you play the same team, you're running for 200 yards. Maybe you should change your defense, Houston. I don't know. He also tied the record for most 200-yard games in a career. He tied O.J. Simpson and Adrian Peterson. He'll probably break that the next time they play the Houston Texans. So, and, he's got 75 touchdowns. Since the 5-game win streak started, he's led in carries, led in yards, led in touchdowns. Derrick Henry's back to being Derrick Henry. But This is what happens when you give a player like him that much volume, right? 32 carries on the ground. We know what the Tennessee Titans want to do. That's what they want to do. And it works. So why not? Why change it? It is great. I'm going to say this because I always get on the Titans and their fans, and I want to make it very clear. I think it's smart. I tell people all the time. I preach every day on our show, Run the Football. So when the Titans do it, I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. They win a lot of regular season games doing it. My biggest issue with the Titans is that's only going to take you so far. There is going to come a point in time in the playoffs where those teams stop Derrick Henry or contain him, and that quarterback's going to have to make a throw, and you're going to need help on the outside and have a weapon, and that's where I struggle with Tennessee. Everything else about their team, I'm okay with. They play really sound, good physical football. There's going to come a point in time, a quarterback's going to have to make a throw, and they're not able to make it. And that's my biggest concern. This is why I think Malik Willis should be the starter. I get it. He didn't have to throw a lot. But I want to see, is his arm dynamic enough in a game where they can't just rely on Derrick Henry? Can he be that guy that makes that throw? I know Ryan Tannehill can't be that guy. I've seen him. He's been in the league too long. But can Malik Willis be that guy? That's what you need to develop. That's what you need to see. That's the reason I'm advocating for Malik Willis. It's not that I think he's better than Ryan Tannehill. He has different skill set than Ryan Tannehill that he doesn't have, and that's what I think they need in order to elevate their team to win a Super Bowl. Yes, he's not ready. Yes, he's inexperienced, but the only way to get that experience and to have a chance is to put him out there. And I think this is the time. This is the time. Their window is 2 years max with Derrick Henry, right? Because once Derrick Henry's gone, good luck finding Derrick Henry 2.0. Your team changes. So you don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of time to wait for Malik Willis to develop on the bench. Put him in now and see if he can do it, because we know. Ryan Tannehill. Because we know Ryan Tannehill can't. Put in Malik Willis now.
Hey, that was perfect. You ended up literally saying exactly what we didn't get to hear the first time. That was perfect. What a beautiful finish to that. Titans defeat the Texans here, 17-10. Tough day for my boy Dameon Pierce, by the way. Breaking my heart. Not the most efficient day. Just tough sledding for Dameon Pierce. Expect a bounce back game for him next week.
Hey, he was still running hard and he did well. He still scored a touchdown. Fantasy wise, it wasn't terrible. It was still good.
Yeah,
but he didn't have the best day on the ground. They were honing in on him and they were all over him.
Yeah, tough day for our boy.
Davis Mills.
Nah, that's true. Next game on our list, it's the Commanders defeating the Colts in a nail-biter between Taylor Heineke and Sam Ehlinger, 17-16 dub for the Commanders. They were able to do exactly what they would have normally did if Carson Wentz was. I don't know if they win that game with Carson Wentz. To be completely honest, I don't know if they win that game with Carson Wentz.
What do you mean you don't know? It's 100% accurate. Write it down, take a picture, book it, guarantee. In my Charles Barkley voice, they wouldn't win that game with Carson Wentz. Washington Commanders fans, where the hell you at? Where the hell you at? Y'all was poopy. You were shitheads, literal shitheads with Carson Wentz at quarterback. And Taylor Heineke, I didn't say it wasn't great. I don't know how, but he's 2-0. He's 2-0. And he's winning games. And this is what I'm talking about. Carson Wentz ain't got it, man. Carson Wentz ain't it. Taylor Heineke comes in. They look rejuvenated. He out there running around and making plays late in the game. And he's better than Carson Wentz. He is. He is better than Carson Wentz. You're right, Bailey. That is an absolute 100% fact. Carson Wentz was a wasted trade. He doesn't need to come back and be the starter when he gets back. Tyler Heineke is a better player than Carson Wentz. Simple as that.
Both their 2-game win streak right now they feature comeback wins. I'm not sure Wentz. I mean, that's been the knock on Wentz, and now the Commanders are 4-4. I mean, they're right in it. They're right in a wide open NFC. Not saying that they deserve that, like they're good enough to be right in it, but 4-4, right in the thick of it with Taylor Heineke finding ways to win these games. I mean, they're right there. Terry McLaurin though was really the big difference maker in this game. Terry McLaurin had himself a day, 6 receptions, 113 yards, the big play at the end of the game there that put the Commanders in a position to win that football game. Antonio Gibson had tutty in this game as well. Overall thoughts of Sam Ehlinger in this offense and the Colts? Because, I mean, this is what – I realized I have the wrong score down there. Holy shit, you didn't even tell me about this. That should say 16, not 6.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention about that. But listen, before I get to the Colts, I do want to go back to the Terry McLaurin thing. Man, he's the talent ability out of this world. He's a great wide receiver that's never going to live up to it numbers-wise because of where he's playing. With the quarterbacks that he plays for. But after he caught that pass, he comes down and this is my house. Like he's talking, he's from the area. He's had some of his best games in Lucas Oil Stadium. He was Mr. Indiana football in 2013. It's like, it meant a lot to him to play there. And so you could see the emotion in what he was playing with, talking about this is my city and all this stuff. He's had very, very special moments in that area, and he shined. Like he had, I think, 270 yards in that stadium as a high schooler. He played in a Big Ten championship game there. He had 170 yards on 5 catches. Like the man owns Lucas Oil Stadium, and he did it again. So shout out to Terry McLaurin for that. As far as Sam Ehlinger, guys, come on, man. What, like, can we just put Matt Ryan back in?
So you saw a difference.
I saw a guy that couldn't, as bad as Matt Ryan was in turning the football over, and I get it. Ehlinger didn't turn the football over like that. He didn't throw the interceptions. But as bad as Matt Ryan does, he always gives you a chance to win. Like, that's the kind of quarterback and veteran. And Ehlinger never gave him a chance to win. Ehlinger was never going to drive down the field and go win that game. You know who could have? Matt Ryan. Like, that's the difference. You play so conservative with Sam Ehlinger because you're scared, but then Matt Ryan's out there and you're throwing him 50 times. You see the difference? We talked about this, Vinny. Sam Ehlinger's first game, you throw 23 passes. Can Matt Ryan get a game where you throw 23 passes and you just run the ball, play some sound defense, let him, block it up for him? Maybe he can win a game that way. No, instead you tell him, no, go throw 50 times and take us to a win, you statue. And Ehlinger's more mobile. Like, I don't understand it. And then you want to blame it on Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan could have did what Sam Ehlinger did the other day. He didn't have to do much. Yeah. Like, I hate when coaches do that. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. It's not like Sam Ehlinger was running on the ground a lot, 6 carries for 15 yards. Ooh, big deal. I don't know. I just was not impressed. I don't go back to Matt Ryan. I get he has a shoulder injury. He's not dressing. He's hurt. But stop with this. I benched Matt Ryan because we think Sam Ehlinger is going to be a better quarterback. No, you didn't. You bench Matt Ryan because he's hurt and you don't know what else to do and you're fighting for your job and you're just trying to do something that's different so you can save your job. And the fact of the matter is Sam Ehlinger, an average quarterback, and in college, he wasn't that great to me. is not going to take you where you want to be. Put Matt Ryan back on the field and pay him his $50 million and let that man end when he wants to end his football career. Stop with this Sam Ehlinger's better. Or put in Nick Foles. Shit. I don't know. Not impressed.
That could be a thing. Nick Foles might be able to do something. He's got some late game heroics, late season heroics.
He ain't shit either.
That's fair. That's fair. No team in the NFC East has a losing record there. So shout out the NFC East now. And Taylor Heineke leading the way for the 4-4 Commanders. The final game on our list, Sunday Night Football between the Green Bay Packers and the Buffalo Bills. The Bills win it 27-17. The Packers have now lost 4 straight games this season. They had not lost more than 4 games since 2018 alone. They have not lost 4 games in the season since 2018. They're on a 4-game losing streak. It has been talked about a lot on this show about the Packers' struggles. I said it with the Rams when we were talking about them. Is it pack it up? Is it for the Packers? Because let me rephrase it.
Ask me that question question in about 10 hours.
Let me give you more. For the trade deadline.
Ask me that question in 10 hours.
Okay, so that's where we'll go then. That's where we'll go with this conversation. Packers on Thursday's show, we talked about the trade deadline, and we said that I don't know if a wide receiver is like that they have to go out and get a wide receiver, because it's not necessarily what the wide receiver position's doing for this team. It's just the team as a whole has not looked good. The soft defense, the lack of usage of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. In this game, 20 carries for Aaron Jones, 143 yards. Very productive day from him. Still only able to put up 17 points on a very good Bills defense. This is a good team that the Buffalo Bills are, but another tough day for the Packers offense. But we saw the running game work. Are we now going to say, okay, this team needs to go get into a wide receiver?
I will tell you this: if the Packers were playing another team, they win a game. They win the game. The way they played, they win the game. Like I think people look at the game and the Bills and they jumped up to that lead, and like we got to remember it's the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen didn't play that great. 13-25. The Green Bay Packers defense actually played pretty well. The problem is their offense couldn't move the ball when they needed to. And we had some, a tipped interception that gave Buffalo points. That was obviously unfortunate. They held Buffalo to just 3 points in the second half. They're the number 1 pass defense in the NFL. Like the Packers are still 80. They still have the talent to do it. I just thought this was a matchup of a better football team than the Green Bay Packers. If Green Bay played like this against another football team, I think they win the game. I think I liked what I saw from their running game. I thought it was a perfect complement of what they should do. 20 for Aaron Jones, 10 for A.J. Dillon. Stop trying to force A.J. Dillon to be a thing. Aaron Jones is more dynamic. Aaron Jones is a better running back. Aaron Jones is a better player. He's the best player on the field for the Packers, and he needs to get the ball as such. I think if they go get it, I do think the wide receiver position had a lot to do with this game. They couldn't trust anything. And there was somebody, I don't know if it was Collinsworth or who does the analysis, Collinsworth and Tirico or whoever.
Yeah.
He had talked about the 2-minute offense and how it looked slow. And I was like, yep, none of those receivers knew what to do. They were in hurry-up offense, and Aaron Rodgers is taking 20 seconds to get them lined up and the next play going because they're not on the same page. These are all young guys that have never played. You lose Christian Watson. Alan Lazard is out. Sammy Watkins is just coming back. Randall Cobb is out. They don't have anybody. So it's not just, do I think the wide receiver position is going to put them over the top? No, but you just need bodies now. Like you need something. So why not go out and try to make a play for a veteran? I told you, I think the best fit there for me in my mind, wide receivers that might be available is Brandon Cooks. I think if Brandon Cooks is the guy, I think you can plug Brandon Cooks into Green Bay right now, and you have an elite wide receiver that you can go to and trust. Because if there is one thing that Brandon Cooks is, he is probably one of the most consistent in how he approaches and plays the game. He is where he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to be there, and that's the type of receiver Aaron Rodgers likes. You get Alan Lazard back, and now you have Alan Lazard and Brandon Cooks, and then you throw in the youth of a Romeo Doubs who can make big plays like he did last night.
Yep.
I think that changes the dynamic of what that offense is capable of doing. I saw last night they didn't trust anything because they were down big, and Aaron Rodgers refused to throw the football. He just said, oh, whatever. Give it back to Aaron Jones. Give it back to Aaron Jones. Didn't matter what the score was.
In my Twitter searching for just information here, I actually stumbled upon the quote you were referring to from Chris Collinsworth. The quote, word for word, just too slow. This group has not been playing together in 2-minute offenses. That's what it is. And call me crazy here, I'd trade a first round pick if I'm the Packers for Brandon Cooks. I'd trade my next year's first for Brandon Cooks. You are running out of time with Aaron Rodgers. You're running out of time with Aaron Rodgers. You go out. You be aggressive.
There's no way Brandon Cooks gets a first round pick.
I don't think. I guess I don't hear what I'm not saying.
It's not happening.
Don't hear what I'm not saying. Like any other team. I wouldn't trade a first round pick for Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, but you can't say that if that's not what warrants the player.
But for the Green Bay Packers, I'm saying, hey, Houston, what do you want for Brandon Cooks? I don't care what it is. I will send you whatever you want for Brandon Cooks to join this team. Like you're not paying a first round. If Houston says first round pick, you're going to have to say, excuse me, I'm going to call somebody else. Like you can't pay a first round pick for a wide receiver that's about to be 30. I'm sorry. Oh, I don't know where the sound is coming from. Hold on. Oh, one of those moments. Those are the worst moments on the show.
Oh my God, where is it?
It's an ESPN. Do you have ESPN open somewhere?
No.
You do. It's got to be somewhere.
ESPN. I closed all my ESPN.
ESPN's the worst.
Hold on.
ESPN's the worst site to do anything with because like their videos pop up.
It wasn't ESPN. It was Pro Football Reference. I don't even know why that came up. But it was singing the hip hop, the hippity hip hop, the don't stop rocking. My ear was so loud. Oh my goodness, that threw me off. Yeah, I just don't think you can trade a first round pick for Brandon Cooks. I think you get somebody, but I do think you call Houston tonight and you're like, hey, you just signed him. We'll pay that. We'll pay that tag. We'll get that money. We'll take care of that. We'll give you a third rounder and call it a day. And I think that second, maybe a second. I don't even know a second round pick is probably going to be too much. I think a third round pick is what he's going to warrant. And maybe a third and a late pick, third and a sixth, third and a fifth, something like that. And you say, let's get it done. And then Brandon Cooks has a chance to go to another winning organization. And I promise you, he will come in day one and be the best receiver Aaron Rodgers has to throw to. And he will show it. Like he's a very trustworthy wide receiver and knows how to get open in this league.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%. One last little note on the Buffalo Bills side, because they were the winners in this game, continuing to look good, 27-17 in this win. I want to just point out and see what your thoughts are and what you saw from this team after the game. A lot of the players were, they were stoked they won. But a lot of the players were saying that there were a lot of mistakes that they did and they want to get better. And that's like almost like coaches, players speak. Of course they want to get better. No one's going to be like, oh, we just won the game. We're the best team in the world. They're talking about what they need to fix. What did you see from the Bills that maybe needs to be tightened up a little bit?
Yeah, I have some concern actually. Not pump the brakes on concern, I guess. I shouldn't say concern. There are some things that I do worry about. I always find it interesting when a team can't ice the game. Like when you have a big lead and you can't just ice the game away. They just let Green Bay hang around. And Green Bay wasn't doing anything.
Oh, you froze. That's unfortunate.
What did you say? I don't know what's going on. I think it was unfortunate that they weren't able to ice the game. And I see it a lot in Buffalo. I think they rely too much on Josh Allen to throw their way to victory. And when they get a big lead like that, they just can't put teams away. Good teams find a way to put teams away. And Buffalo has been good at that so far for the most part. I thought yesterday they showed a little bit of a chink in the armor, I guess you could say. The Bills got that game to Packers got that game to a 10-point game. And if you had maybe in a more explosive team, that game could have been tightened back up and Buffalo would have had to make a play. So they relied on Josh Allen late. He threw a pick. And they knew, the Packers knew, they didn't believe that the Bills were going to run the football and they didn't. And so I think that's just some things that they need to clean up. But I mean, obviously they're okay. They're fine. I'm almost leaning towards saying this again, though. I still think the Chiefs are a better football team than the Bills. And just overall, when I watch them play, like the Bills are electric and it's fun to watch. And Josh Allen's so dynamic. But when I look at just sound football, I think I slightly still have the Chiefs above them, especially in the playoffs with the experience. But the Bills have been winning, and the Bills beat the Chiefs. So, it's hard for me to really justify that on here. They get Tre'Davious White back soon, so maybe that helps. They've been without, obviously, Micah Hyde's out for the year. Jordan Poyer went out. Maybe that had something to do with it. But I just seen a little bit of chink in the armor, and I'm only judging it based on the playoffs. They're going to win every regular season game.
Yeah.
They're just, they're the Bills. But
yeah, that's just what they do.
Come playoff time, that experience and not being able to close out games, I think that matters. And it was their Achilles heel last year in the playoffs. Yep. And I don't want to see that from them. I want them to be able to close out games and do it convincingly.
Yeah, and again, that's what we do on the show. Like, this team is still a regular season stud. Like, they're going to still dominate. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. But like pointed out the flaws, make sure we're keeping these teams honest. They do get the win though over the Green Bay Packers on primetime football. Moved to 6-1 on the year. Packers now 3-5, continuing to fall back in the AFC North. Yeah, that's how it is. Hey, look a new comment here. Don't know the name, but hey, there it is.
Peter North? I don't buy it. I know who Peter North is. I don't buy it. Prove it, Peter North.
Who's that?
I know Peter North is an adult film star.
Oh, yeah?
Old porn star. Yeah, that's why he said an adult film star, retired. I know who Peter North is. He's a very well-known adult film star.
Oh, okay.
If you're saying, hey, look, man, if it's Bills Eagles, I don't doubt that. That's a great choice there. But I'm gonna have to fact check Peter North on if it's really Peter North or just somebody that's acting like they're Peter North. But thank you for the comment. Shout out to Peter North.
I don't know how I don't know how we accurately prove that. I guess tomorrow.
Send a picture to Vinny in his DMs.
Whoa, I do not know. I don't know what I don't know. Wow, what a guy! What a great way to end this show. What a great way to end this show. Like,
that's awesome. I mean, the fact that I know, see, again, you youngsters, you wouldn't know about that. The fact that I know who Peter North is, I guess. Wait, are you playing music? You're an idiot. You're an asshole.
I just wish StreamYard didn't mess up our volume, like our personal volume when we play music that's not StreamYard's.
Bro, oh my God. That's what it was in my ear, but it was super loud. It was way more loud than it is.
See, I am Wonder Mike, and I like to say hello.
That does it for the episode of the Sack City Podcast. We'll be back again live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, bringing you the fantasy content you need to win your leagues and your championships and your week. We've got waivers, we've got rankings, we've got so much
Make sure you come ask your questions. Helping you win your leagues. Unlike Bailey, I won this week, and we're winners.
Well, I lost, but AJ won, so that counts. One of us.
We'll all be here. I'll give you some advice.
There you go. That's what we pay you. That's why you get paid the big bucks. We'll see you live 10 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Back again for fantasy football content. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at the Sack City Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and the Tickety Talk. The Tickety Talk. The Tickety Talk. Your man.
Go to TikTok and hit that subscribe button because we're trying to get to 1,000. And I know we're only at 100, but we're trying to get to 1,000 so we can go live on TikTok and answer all those fantasy football questions when we do it live. So be sure to go to TikTok. We don't post a lot, but we do have some clips on there. It's some creative content. Go subscribe just because you love us. And thank you.
For my best friend Aaron Mukes, for myself, and for the hippity hop. We're the Sack City Podcast. We will see you tomorrow. What?
Hey, just like there's no white running backs, there shouldn't be no white Vinny should not be up here trying to sing hip hop. Peace out.